What is up, guys? Welcome to another video. Typical fashion on useless builds is to start new projects before finishing old ones. Yesterday I saw a deal, it was kind of too good to be true. I hit the guy up, offered him 400 bucks. He accepted 500, and now I'm the owner of this terrible boat. A little bit of a backstory rundown real quick. When we picked it up, 3 out of the 4 tires blew out. So thankfully I had one spare. The trailer doesn't have a spare. Came with the trailer. Nice trailer, actually. Boat has the title, clean title, South Carolina. And apparently it runs. It runs and drives great, apparently. So that's good news. But there is one downside to this boat. And the worst part about it is the interior is pretty bad. It's been stored outside, so we're gonna have to check the floors. We're gonna have to see how soggy they are. Thankfully, it's already got pre-molded carpet, so the carpet comes up pretty easy on the front. We can double check all this. But we're gonna pull this boat out. I'm gonna get the truck over there, truck hooked up, pull this out, and we're gonna put it on the driveway, and we're gonna start tearing into it and see what it's gonna take to do it. This is gonna be a budget build. It's only gonna be $500. If I can't fix this thing for 500 bucks or less and keep it at $1,000, then I'm just gonna get rid of it. There's no need for me to dump a bunch of money into a boat. I don't really care to. But if the motor is good, might have some good luck. Unfortunately, it's an OMC, which boat owners hate OMCs, but personally, working at marinas, I used to love OMCs. The reason I love OMCs is you just take the cover off and the impeller's right in here. You don't have to take the whole lower unit off to get to the impeller. Super convenient, super nice. We'll check the fluid on that. We'll check the fluid on the motor. You can see this is definitely got to go. The wood needs to be fixed, and obviously there's also no ladder on the boat. We can't have no ladder on the boat. I'm not using a lower unit, especially not an OMC lower unit as a ladder. That thing will freaking snap off, and then you'll never be able to replace it. Aside from that, the interior is actually not the worst. The floor looks like it may need a new floor. I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm very hopeful that it might clean up. It might be fine. Maybe just replace the centerpieces. But it may need a floor. So let's see. If the floor is, if I could just cover it and recarpet the new covered piece, keep it all under $1,000 budget, then we might be good. Obviously, we're not going to be reupholstering it. We'll be getting rid of all the back stuff for now. If the boat turns out to be a good boat, then I might put more money into it. But there is one cool thing about this. So I went through it came with a freaking owner's manual. So I went through the owner's manual, and inside it was 2 receipts with a warranty card for a Comp Cam's camshaft for a 4.3 liter Vortec engine, which is what's in this boat. Now, I don't know for sure if there is a camshaft, a hopped up cam in this boat, but we'll know as soon as we fire it up if it is. We'll hear immediately. So apparently it's got a 262 cam, possibly. Like I said, I paid 500 bucks for this thing. We're gonna keep the budget at 500 bucks. So we got $500 more to spend, and I have a feeling half that's gonna go to tires. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. Worst case, or best thing about buying tires is you can resell the wheels and tires pretty fast. I can resell the whole trailer probably for $1,000, as long as it's not like super rotted out or anything. It looks like it's a pretty good setup. It does need a new leg. That's seen better days. The plastic wheel. But all right, well, let's get the truck over there fired up, and we'll get this thing moving and get this over there on the driveway where it's out of the grass, and I can assess it better. to rewire this trailer harness. I don't know what this is. This is archaic. So we can hook it up to the truck. Also, obviously it needs wheels and tires. It may need trailer lights, we'll look into that. Another thing I noticed is that there's no plug for the boat, so we're gonna have to find a plug, which has the generic plug style, so I could probably pick one of those up at Academy Sports. We're also gonna have to get a battery for this, and we're gonna have to go pick up some fuel for this thing. The other thing I noticed is that this is locked, and the key for the ignition is not the same as the glove box for some reason. So we may have to unscrew this and snake up in there and undo that lock and pull it off and replace that. Or just not have one, I don't know. Who knows what kind of critters and goodies are in there. If the previous owner didn't open that, and he's had the boat for several years, who knows what's locked away inside that thing. But let's do a little tour real quick of all the switches and see what we have on this. This is a 1986 Larson V175 Senza. Hours looks like 402. That seems extremely low. That could have been replaced though at some point because it doesn't match the rest of the gauges. Then we got oil pressure, fuel, water temperature, miles per hour, RPM, battery voltage, and the trim one, which we all know is probably not going to work. We also have a blower motor, which is nice for the back. We have a horn, anchor. Interesting. We'll have to see what that does. Bilge pump, accessory, which is probably for the radio, and then I don't know what these are for. I don't know if these are just fuses or if they're supposed to be light bulbs. I guess probably supposed to be lights. Let you know they're on. But pretty nice steering wheel, seats. Yeah, floors. Oh no, the floor might be fine. It looks like it's already been covered up. We'll see. Looks like someone might have already put a replacement floor down over the other floor. So we'll just have to climb up in there and see how it is. And start getting rid of some of this stuff. Alright, so we picked up a battery. We got some gas. The battery was $50. It's like $49 and some change. I still have a $12 core I can go back and get on that. So it'd be about $38 or so. We picked up a boat cover just in case. It was on sale. It was only 40 something, no, 45 bucks. So I mean, worst case, I can return it if I don't need it. I got a battery tray because this boat doesn't have one in it. Just some things I noticed. It needs a trailer harness. I found a plug in case we don't find it inside. And I picked up a set of earmuffs because I actually don't have a set anymore. And then I went and got some lunch. So, eat my lunch and then we're going to have to get started on this. Start tearing everything out. I'm going to get the seats out, all this vinyl out, clean up all the leaves, get all the leaves out. Start cleaning it up, see how much all this stuff will clean up. And assess what we need and what we don't need. I can see the pole for the old nightstick there. That's good. This back deck piece is bad. Unfortunately, so the front's all fiberglass. It's actually in really good shape. There's some cracks right there and right there. But that's really about it. Looks like somebody ratchet strapped something there, and that's why they broke it. But the front structure is all really good, actually. All this is very good. So I can tell somebody replaced the wood on that side and just set it on top. And you can see where it gets bigger right there, and all from there back hasn't been replaced. Starting to look like chaos out here. Mess in the driveway. But my camera keeps overheating. That's why I can't do like time lapses with this one. But as you can see, we got a lot of leaves blown up, mostly to the back, so I can just kind of collect them and toss them out. Still figuring out how to get this out without causing a bunch of damage. I know there's like screws that are holding it up from underneath, and then there's some on the back, but I don't know if there's any that run along the inside here. I'm not sure. Doesn't appear to be, so looks like we only got the ones on the back and the ones that are underneath on those little brackets down there. So once we get that out, then we can start messing with this engine, get some stuff cleaned up in the back there. But yeah, it's looking not too bad. It's gonna need a good deep cleaning. The vinyl up here isn't too terrible. This side's a little bit worn, but it might make it another couple years before it needs to be replaced. I mean, the wood behind it's seen better days, if there is wood. I don't even know. We'll have to find out. Looks like there's just tabs that hold it right there, so might be easy to have someone do that if needed, but it looks pretty good, to be honest. I mean, good for what it is. Obviously the whole floor is going to have to be redone. Surprisingly, it's really strong around this, and I don't know if that's because of the, you can see where the fuel tank strap was. You can see the wood starting to rot it away there, which is not good. That means it's pretty much those would have to be replaced. This boat maybe has a few years left of its life before it would get scrapped. But maybe the goal is to get this motor nice and running, run this boat for a couple years until it's completely trashed, and then find another better boat that has a blown motor or something. One that was maybe kept inside. But yeah, let's continue on. I'm going to get this back panel out, and then we'll start working on this engine. Alright, so we got the back piece out. It was actually really good, easy. It was just that bracket up top there, and then there was one bracket on the bottom there. Actually, it was a little square one, not that long one. So that's out. Now we got access to the engine. Unfortunately, I can see that the breather tubes were left up like that, which means they definitely got moisture down through the valve train, unfortunately. So I pulled the dipstick. It has oil in it, but it also looks like it may have water in it. So, well, it should be fine to at least crank it and make sure the engine will start up and run. But next thing is going to be assessing this fuel tank situation. Because I took the cap off on the other side, and boy oh boy, does it smell like turpentine, or I don't even know what to call it. It's bad under here. So what we'll probably do is pull the hose off the back there, blow some air, probably blow some air up through the vent hose here, which looks like it's all connected still, so we can pump air into the tank and kind of give it pressure, and hopefully it'll run all the fuel out the back, and we can collect that into a suction pump that I have. But it's definitely got some kind of fuel in it. I don't know what kind of fuel it is, but it's not good. Thankfully that's an aluminum tank, so it can't corrode, which is surprising for this kind of boat. I would have thought it would have had a steel tank in it. Super nice. So we'll get working on draining that. I don't want to, whatever's in there, I don't want to pump it right up into the carb. So my goal is to clean it out before we start actually messing with that engine. Because at the end of the day, parts like that are still worth money. So if I wanted to part this boat out, I could sell the fuel tank, and I could sell the whole engine out of it, honestly, if it's good. Alright, so we got the fuel line off. I got it clamped to this bucket here. We're just going to compress some air into the tank and see if it pushes fuel up through this line and into the bucket. Simple test. find out real quick. Alright, so I have sprayed tons of compressed air and I'm getting nothing out the back. I bought some extra gas, so I'm going to pour a little bit of gas down there and do it again and see if anything comes out. Maybe the tank's already been drained and I wasn't aware of it, but it stinks really bad. So it sounds like it's full of something, but it sounds also pretty hollow. Yeah, I think it might actually be empty. I don't hear anything sloshing around, so let's put some fuel in it and see what happens. One more thing I wanted to do was check the impeller. OMC did an amazing job. Probably the reason why they went out of business and made their stuff super easy to work on. Just very hard to find parts because they went out of business. We're going to pull the impeller out and double check. This is just your impeller off the back of it. Super easy to get to. You don't have to pull the lower unit out like on the Mercruisers. So let's pull these bolts out and see how the gaskets in here look and see how the impeller looks. We want to make sure it's not torn and already ruined, and then we're going to lube it up too. That way we don't dry fire this thing and it just tear the impeller to pieces if it is good. Looks like I may have gotten very lucky because someone just replaced this impeller. So it's in good shape. So we're going to lube it up, put some lube in here, maybe some Crisco or something. We're going to put it back on and hope that this seal holds. Actually, the seal looks really good too. It's not flattened completely, so someone definitely replaced this at some point. Our little cap thing hasn't spun and it's not damaged, which is super good. But I got to get some lube in here, make sure this is lubed up before we install it all back together. Alright, next we're going to spin this water pump over, see if it spins. Oh, yep. It's a little stuck, but it spins. Alright. Put a battery in here and see if we hit the start button, if anything happens. Don't want to burn anything up, but don't know if you don't try, right? Let's give it a shot, see what happens. Alright, so we got our little battery hooked up. We got our muffs on with some water. I mean, let's just see what happens, I guess. Who knows? Our gauge has got power. Huh? And I don't want to burn the starter up. Seems like it's struggling to spin over, so what we're going to do is I'm going to pull the plugs out. I'm going to make sure that there is no water in the cylinders, and we'll spin it over without compression and see if whatever's in there we can blow out. We might put some ATF down in the spark plug holes too. Right, so I pulled all the plugs out on both sides and they look really good, like somebody replaced them. They're a little bit fouled up. It'll focus. But pretty good otherwise. No rust or anything on the inside, so there's probably not any water in there. But when I try to crank it up, it's like the starter is not. So it spun over for a second. So we're going to spin it over by hand and make sure it's not the motor. And make sure it's just the starter. But it might be that this battery doesn't have enough juice too. Let me get another battery in here with jumper cables. And we'll see if some extra juice will help it spin over. Alright, so I just spun the motor over by hand. That ratchet. It spins over really nice. So let's see what the key does this time. We got the jumper cables hooked up. Alrighty. Cool. So it is just battery related. So that battery that I got is either no good or it doesn't have enough cold cranking amps. Good to know. Let's get these plugs back in here. Let's throw a little gas down the gullet and see if she'll fire off. We got the tester out. This battery tests good, but it doesn't have good cold cranking amps. I was hoping it was maybe the leads, but I don't think it's the leads, that it doesn't have good cold cranking amps. The other battery that I just bought is completely dead. So like it's not even good. So I'm going to have to take that battery back and exchange it out for another one. Because that one was, it's literally just, when I hooked it up to the tester wouldn't even move. That's how dead it was. I put it in there on the charger to see, because it is a new battery, but I just don't know. We'll have to find out. Alright, so we went and got a new battery. I also dropped off a core. This one, hopefully we have better. I haven't hooked the jumper cables up to anything yet. So let me undo these, because these aren't necessary to be on there right now. In case we need them, I'll hook them back up, but I got this other battery there as a backup. Let's see if she spins over now. Oh yeah. It's got a little tiny bit of a gallop, it seems. Hopefully nothing's hurt. Let's dump a little bit of gas down the old gullet there and see what she does. Alright, sorry if the whole thing's rocking. The boat's not really stable on the trailer. But let's give her a first fire with some gas down there and see what happens. Uh-oh. Okay. It wants to run. Okay, this has like a safety switch. It has to be in neutral to fire it up. That's kind of annoying, but... Let's get a fire. Come on, baby. Alright, so I got my spark tester on there. I spun it over and it's not sparking. So we're gonna pop the distributor cap off and check underneath there. I'm gonna check the points and stuff. Looks like it's just a Phillips head. So we pulled the distributor cap off. I hit it with the sandpaper and the wire brush, cleaned it up a little bit. See if that makes a difference. Still got my spark tester in there. I don't want to keep cranking this thing, but man, I really want this thing to fire up. It's not getting any spark now. That sucks. Wonder what could be going on here. It's got vacuum advance. Something. This thing has an electric choke. What the heck? Let's see if we can trim it. Oh, trim works. Alright, for the first time, I think I got everything figured out. Man, I spent hours looking at wiring diagrams, checking stuff out, checking my coil. I had another coil I tested. Everything was testing good. I just couldn't figure it out. I went ahead and checked the points, and the gap on the points was like 1/1000ths instead of 0.18 thousandths. So 0.018. So I adjusted it, got the gap set. We got batteries charged now. I'm gonna dump a little bit of fuel down the carb, and we're gonna try and fire this thing up and see what actually happens. It's kind of exciting. This thing might actually run. Oh man. Maybe accessories need to be on. Let's see. Try it again. too. Alright, I'm done messing with these crappy batteries from the junkyard. We got a deep cycle marine battery, brand new. I haven't poured any gas in it. I'm just going to spin it over, see what happens, see if the carb's actually doing anything. Let's see where it goes. It's got spark. That's good. I'm going to go turn the water on now, and then we're going to throw some fuel down the carb and see what happens. Alright guys, it's a new day. We're back on the Larson. I'm pretty sure I know what I was doing wrong yesterday, and the issue was actually, I'm pretty sure it's low on compression. So today we're going to shoot the cylinders down. I shouldn't have spun it over so much yesterday. That was my own dumb mistake. I just wasn't thinking. I remember smoke coming out of the breather hoses and I didn't think anything of it, but it's probably because the compression's low. It's blowing past the rings, if I had to guess. So what we're going to do today, we're going to pull the plugs back out. I'm going to spray the cylinders down with some lubricating oil, let it sit for a while, and while we do that, we're going to vacuum out the rest of the boat and actually start to clean it up a little bit. I'm pretty sure all it needs to do is have the cylinders lubricated and see if they can revive the rings. Otherwise, the engine might be toast. I might have toasted it. I might have scored the cylinder walls. We could put a scope down in there and see, but we'll have to find out. So I just sprayed some oil down the cylinders. I also looked in there with the scope. Cylinder walls don't look too bad. What I did notice though is down in here, this freeze plug is just missing. Thankfully it's the easy one, not the hard one behind the motor mount. So that's convenient. Hopefully there's no cracks in the block though. So I have to figure that out. I hope one hasn't pushed out of this side because it's got the starter on it. But I'm going to climb down there and check, and hopefully not. It runs! I was right! I needed to fucking lube the cylinders and the compression was good. Oh man. Alright. Wow. That's running really good. Alright, I gotta hook the water up and actually see what we can do now with this thing. I didn't check the gauges to see if anything was charging. I did see that the oil pressure gauge was moving, so that's good. And like, all the lights on the gauges, I think except for this one, work, which is really nice. Got the front all wiped down, looks really good, nice and clean up there. The carpet where it's black there is actually starting to wear away, so realistically we need to replace the whole front section of carpet, or at least the upper portion, probably the whole front part of carpet. But I mean, I gotta go back over it with the vacuum when I cleaned all this off, a bunch of debris fell. So we got the front all cleaned up, now we just need to keep working our way onto the back. Get all this cleaned up, and then we can start, you know, really tearing into the floor and seeing what we're gonna have to replace. Looks like there's just reinforcement wood placed up against the side with the little trusses there, so we'll have to see how bad that is. We definitely got to replace that section there. Alright, so we got the front end really done, cleaned that. Unfortunately the seats are completely useless and ruined, so I'm gonna have to make new seats for the front. But we've got the tubs all cleaned out, looks really good. Nice. Should replace the carpet there, but probably be okay for a couple seasons. We'll just see how much it's going to cost when I go to replace stuff back here. If it's more cost effective to buy carpet for the front as well, or use scraps to redo the front. But surprisingly on this side the floor is really good. there's not really any soft spots. That's kind of a little mushy right there. But over here, it's real bad, right? You can, yeah, the floor where the seat goes is real bad. Up in front is all good, which this should all be fiberglass here, and then wood right here. So this is, whatever supports in here has to be replaced. There's no doubt about it. I can't put a seat there without replacing that. And then it's nice right here. Like I said, this is probably fiberglass here. Maybe, I'm not sure. But right here is kind of soft. It's all soft and mushy right here. This is pretty, it's kind of mushy. This is gone. That's non-existent. This is hard, but this cover is soft. And then this is hard. And then back here is all soft. So, yeah, unfortunately we're going to have to do some replacing of the floors. But I really just want to get all the dirt and stuff cleaned out first, so we have a good canvas to work with. So the whole front end's all nice and cleaned up. Now we're going to work our way back. We're going to work from here back and get the cabins situated, and then we'll work on cleaning up the engine bay. That's kind of that's my last thing to worry about, because I'm going to have to build, I'm going to build a center console cover, or like a dog house that covers the engine, and I want a seat on either side. I don't like the wraparound seat in the back. I'd rather have seats on either side. It gives you more cabin space, and if I want to, I can get rid of those chairs and put double chairs that have front and back, which are pretty cheap and affordable, and it gives you more space on the boat. So less weight of all the extra stuff. There's obviously no place for someone to lay out in the sun, but I'm 6'8", I'm not laying on that thing. So I don't really care for it, they just go bad anyways. Alright, got the boat all cleaned up. Well, the front half, everything except the engine compartment back. It's all been wiped down, vacuumed up, over and over again. So now it looks pretty good. We're going to have to get rid of these speakers that somebody just kind of hodgepodgely put in. Now what I want to do is throw this freeze plug. I got a temporary rubber freeze plug. They didn't have any of the brass ones, so I'm going to have to order brass ones online. We'll throw this freeze plug in and see if we can't get this thing to run and build up some water pressure and get the water temperature up and idle good. The battery's been on the tender all day, so it should be good. But we'll throw some more fuel in the tank and see what happens. Let her eat, I guess. Alright. Alright, so here's our bad freeze plug. It's just completely gone. Nowhere to be found. So I'm going to get my wire wheel up in there and clean that out real good. Pretty good. Like I said, this is only temporary fix until I can get the proper size. You don't ever really want to use rubber on a boat motor. It's not really good. So it's got both rubber and steel on the inside, which will cause the motor to corrode. So this is why you don't want a rubber one. But I just need this to work so we can get water flowing through the engine and make sure everything else is good. I'm going to go around and check all the other freeze plugs and make sure they're all good. Alright, so we got the water on, got the battery in. I'm going to see if it just cranks up before dumping any fuel down the carb and see what happens. Let's give it a shot. She wants to go. She wants to go. Oop, I cut it off that time. Ah, it's a stupid throttle link. That should be good. Come on, baby. There it is. Yeah, I gotta adjust the idle on this thing, man. It's not, it doesn't like it. With me here. Oh, my squirter was stuck. Oops. Should be good. Alright, so I found a problem. Let me just bring you in and show you where the problem is. So, before I can continue to run it, sorry if this is really loud, but right back in there, there is a line. This line right here is the main feed of water to the engine. Well, whatever the fitting is up there, it's completely broken in half. So I can't really get water into the engine, unfortunately. But it's idling pretty good. It's charging, that's good. Oh wow, the trim gauge actually, the trim gauge works. That's crazy. Those never work. Water temperature is still down, oil pressure is looking good. Fuel gauge is still empty. It's because all the fuel was leaned in the back and there's only about 4 gallons in there. Oh wow, we got a horn. That's funny. Alright, so my problem is I just don't know if it's going to get enough water flowing through the engine with that giant leak. But I do want it to let it get warmed up because I want to hear if it has chop because it's got a cam in it. Oh yeah, it's definitely cam. Alright, well we're good, we're Gucci. I'm going to pack it up. I got to get breathers hooked up to the carb. It's sucking that air right in. It's got a little bit of blow by, it looks like. But I'm ecstatic, man. This is good. It runs pretty good. Yeah, probably for the best for it to just shut off. So we got to get that hose that's on the back and get that replaced. No big deal, that's pretty nice. But I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned up. We're going to get the cover put back on this, put it away until next weekend. Oh wow, look at that, even the compass lights up. That's cool. But we're going to put this away until next weekend. I'll buy some parts. We'll get the proper freeze plug. We'll get that hose for the back, and possibly get some new belts for the engine because they look a little rough. Everything's charging and stuff, but I'd like to at least have some spares with me. So we'll get some of that stuff, and then we'll get working on repairing this floor. That's going to be a big job in its own. I want to get the floor repaired. I want to get a doghouse cover for the engine. I want to build a seat for that side and a seat for this side. And then if I don't do a double seat on this side, I want to at least have a double seat on that side. So we got a lot of effort and a lot of work to put in coming soon. But this thing runs really good, man. Thanks for sticking along. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe for more. I don't know if people are going to like boat content, and I'm sorry that I'm not working on other projects. We did get the turbo manifold for the turbo build on that car. That's about it. Let's call it a night.